We are taking you into the news right now with the Fox 45 news feed. It's 11 a.m. NACA's Achieve the Dream event is underway in Baltimore, but one councilwoman is telling people not to go, why she is against it, and the response from the group. The city is lifting the boil water advisory for some Baltimore residents, where people remain without safe drinking water and how long that could continue. And topping international news, Queen Elizabeth is under medical supervision. What the 96-year-old's doctor is saying about her health. Fox 45 News Midday starts now.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News Midday.
Thank you for joining us for Fox 45 News Midday. I'm Patrice Sanders. The water crisis in Baltimore City continues over concerns of E. coli contamination. This is a new map released by the city showing the smaller, revised area that still remains under a boil water advisory. Late last night, the city lifted the advisory for the area south and southwest of Route 40, including the original precautionary area in Baltimore County. But those who live inside the dotted line should still boil water to ensure that it's safe.
DPW is awaiting analytical data from the laboratory to confirm that there is no E. coli in the samples taken within the required boil water advisory and remaining area.
The Department of Public Works is urging residents who are no longer under the advisory to flush their water for 15 minutes before using it again. This morning, 42,000 gallons of water will be donated to people affected by the E. coli outbreak. Royal Farms and the Salvation Army will distribute water to seniors and families at the Sandtown Winchester Senior Center on Baker Street. That starts today at 12:30 and it will run until 3:30. Happening right now, NACA's Achieve the Dream is underway, but it comes amid big debate. Is it a dream or scam? Earlier this year, tension boiled over between a Baltimore City Council member and the group that is putting on the housing event in the city.
I have been working in this field for 30 years.
Mr. Marks.
I am the
Mr. Marks. Oh, Councilwoman.
I just did.
Mr. Marks.
Now, Councilwoman Odette Ramos is warning Baltimoreans not to go to this week's housing event. Shannon Lilly shows us the heated debate from outside the convention center.
And this event underway right now, right here at the Baltimore Convention Center for people looking to become homeowners. You can see lots of people have already arrived and more than 7,000 people are expected to be here over the next 5 days to get one-on-one counseling from the group NACA, which is HUD approved and promotes what it calls the best deal out there for low to moderate income families seeking homeownership. But this event hasn't been without some controversy. In fact, you'll remember back in April, that tense city council meeting we showed you. Well, it ended with Councilwoman Odette Ramos warning people against this very group, telling people not to come today. Take a listen.
Since the disaster of a hearing in April, we've learned a lot more about this organization. A lot of people reached out to me saying that, they've been waiting for a long time. All the appointments always get canceled to try to, get their house and, sometimes getting, not so great deals.
But we're speaking with NACA Chief Executive Bruce Marks today, who has a very different story. He says he and hundreds others came out back in April to urge City Council to sell thousands of vacant properties in the city directly to home buyers so NACA can give the financing to be able to do renovations. He says it could greatly help the Baltimore community, keeping people from moving out of the city and even lowering crime rates, which we have seen to be tied to these vacant homes. Mark says that Ramos's warning about NACA isn't about policy, but more of a personal vendetta.
So we had about 700 people come, and it was peaceful, absolutely peaceful. There's no damage, but people were loud because they were advocating. That's called democracy. And so, the problem in Baltimore is that the politicians are the roadblocks, and people are fed up with the politicians who'd rather have nothing done than something that they don't control. And that's what we saw with Ramos and with some of the other politicians there.
Now, Mark says that Ramos was invited here today, but so far she hasn't shown up, and he says that speaks volumes. This event lasts from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and it goes on for the next 5 days. Reporting at the Baltimore Convention Center, I'm Shannon Lilly, Fox 45 News, Midday.
Breaking news now from overseas. Buckingham Palace says Queen Elizabeth II's doctors are concerned for her health, and they have recommended that she remain under medical supervision. The 96-year-old is currently at Balmoral Castle in Scotland. According to the palace, Prince Charles and the Duchess of Cornwall are also there with her. Prince William is making his way to his grandmother. 11:05 now, and here's a look at today's top trending stories. Trending number one, for a second time in less than a week, a Baltimore City student has been shot outside their school. The teenager was grazed on his head. It happened just as school was letting out at Carver Vocational Technical High School in West Baltimore.
Firearms everywhere, everybody can get their hands on them.
It's madness, man. I mean, people from all over the city come to this area, so it could have been anybody.
You'll recall last Friday, 17-year-old Jeremiah Brogdon was shot and killed in the parking lot at Mervo High School. A 17-year-old from another school has been arrested in that shooting. Trending number two, new video just released of a man who police say is a suspect in a deadly shooting on August 12th. Tony Matthews was found shot several times along Parkside Avenue, and now there's an $8,000 reward for tips helping to solve this case. Trending number three, an Annapolis man is facing federal charges for allegedly threatening a member of Congress. Prosecutors say 39-year-old Justin Kuchta sent a message on an event management website saying he was going to kill the person. According to CNN, the threats were targeting Texas Congressman Ted Cruz. Trending number four, Baltimore is getting its first predominantly black sailing team with the goal of competing in one of the oldest and most prestigious sailing competitions in the world. African Diaspora Maritime is looking to assemble a group of sailors right here in Baltimore to compete in the America's Cup. State leaders supporting the effort say the training programs for young sailors will also help teach them valuable life skills. Trending number five, the third week of the Maryland State Fair starts today. Now, if you haven't already made it to the fair, this week is your last chance. It wraps up this weekend. Sunday, September 11th, that's the last day of the Maryland State Fair. It's also Fox 45 News Day, so be on the lookout because you could meet your favorite Fox 45 News anchors, reporters, and meteorologists. And if you do go to the fair this weekend, we want to see it. You can send in your pictures and videos to our website, foxbaltimore.com/chime-in, or use your Fox 45 mobile app. Just click the Explore tab and then chime in. Still ahead, what makes a happy relationship? Why one study says little white lies could be key. Disgraced Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes is asking for a new trial. Why she claims testimony that helped convict her of fraud was coerced. And South Carolina Republicans are advancing a bill banning nearly all abortions in the state. The exceptions lawmakers removed from the bill before that vote.
Now that the clouds are breaking for some sun, we are looking at a beautiful day ahead of us. We are looking at high temperatures warming back into the low 80s today. And this is just the beginning of a nice dry stretch. I'll let you know exactly how long it lasts in just a couple of minutes on Fox 45 News Midday at 11.
Fox 45 News, winner of 17 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
(11:09) and taking a look at your social stream this morning, Republican lawmakers in South Carolina Senate are advancing a bill to ban nearly all abortions in the state, making no exception for rape or incest. The vote came on an amended bill that removed previous exceptions for rape and incest. As written, the current bill bans abortions once cardiac activity in a fetus is detected. Now, that can happen as early as 6 weeks or as soon as 10 days after a missed period. South Carolina's Medical Affairs Committee advanced the bill in a 9-8 vote in which 2 Republicans joined Democrats in voting against it. reaction on social media. And let's see what folks are saying they're saying here. South Carolina could have put abortion to a vote the way Kansas did, but they didn't. Why? If the people want to ban abortion, let the people vote on it. Women of South Carolina, you have rights. Medical care from your doctor, not your lawmakers, is one of them. Vote. And then someone else going on to say, watching this South Carolina Senate debate, the abortion bill live, is making my blood boil. Why on earth are a bunch of privileged men talking about births and pregnancies in a state legislature? Who are they to decide what happens in a doctor's office or a hospital room? Well, disgraced Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes is asking for a new trial. Her lawyer claims a former Theranos lab director and key witness in the case against her showed up at her house saying he feels guilty about his testimony. And, quote, the prosecutors tried to make everybody look bad. In court paperwork, Holmes's attorneys say that conversation constitutes new evidence that warrants a fresh trial. What are you saying about it? Let's see. D says, there we go. D says, doesn't magically make her not a liar either. And then someone else, regretting something doesn't mean recanting something, lady. All right, a 58-year-old Pennsylvania woman has died after being attacked by a shark in the Bahamas. The woman was on a cruise and taking part in an off-boat excursion when that attack happened. The area where the attack happened is now closed indefinitely. We've got people reacting. One person saying, not surprising at all. The feeding of sharks to entertain tourists in the Bahamas is notorious. I've dived all over the world, but always being respectful of the environment I'm in. It's time the feeding of marine life to attract it for the entertainment of tourists needs to stop. And then another, I grew up in Florida and bull sharks are the biggest danger in the subtropical waters. Well, still ahead, could a ground stop be in the cards? The threats United Airlines is making about its service to JFK Airport. And it is Fleet Week in Maryland. We're going to take you to the Inner Harbor for a behind-the-scenes look at all the excitement. And coming up at noon, it's Storage Wars, followed by Comics Unleashed. Then at 1, it's the Wendy Williams Show, followed by Hot Bench at 2. Your time now, 11:12 on Fox 45 News Midday. (11:13) now. We are back with a live look over the Inner Harbor where Maryland Fleet Week is underway. The week-long celebration kicked off Wednesday with a ceremony in the Inner Harbor. And the fun and excitement will continue this week. Olivia Dance is at the Inner Harbor with a closer look at what visitors can expect.
Well, Fleet Week is underway, and right now I'm wearing a bomb suit. This helps to protect Navy EOD technicians, and this thing is heavy. It weighs 70 pounds. It's hot. I do not know how they do it, but right now I'm joined by Master Chief Steve Rivers. Talk to us a little bit about this suit.
So, Olivia, you're wearing the EOD 10 bomb suit. It's basically designed to protect explosive ordnance disposal technicians against blast and fragmentation hazards if they'd go downrange. So you're wearing kind of the minimum gear, but still 70 pounds, and you look pretty good doing it.
Yeah, I don't know how you do this. You were saying some people actually do 5Ks with this suit on.
Absolutely. Guys like challenges. They like to kind of push themselves, so we do have sailors that will run 5Ks wearing the full suit.
That's extremely impressive.
Absolutely.
I promise I'm not being dramatic. This actually is very heavy. And you also have some cool technology to show us as well, some robotic technology. Right now it's holding a Gatorade bottle. Tell us what this is used for.
So, Olivia, before we'd send an EOD technician downrange or into a dangerous situation, we would use these robots. So we kind of leverage technology to kind of be an extension of our people, go downrange in a dangerous situation before we put our people at risk. So these robots over the last 20 years, they've come a long way, and they're just getting better and better, and kind of shows how the Navy leverages technology.
extremely impressive, really cool technology, and Fleet Week is exciting. It's a chance for Baltimore residents to meet our servicemen and women. What else do you guys have in store for Baltimore residents this week?
So myself and the 4-sailor team from EOD Group 2 in Virginia Beach, we're doing 2 schools today. We have those engagements, talk to students, kind of let them know what the Navy's doing. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we'll be here from 11 to 7 p.m. interacting with the people of Baltimore and kind of showing what we do a little more.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for speaking with us. All of you, thank you for this amazing demonstration. Make sure you come out and check out Fleet Week. There's so many fun activities to do. I have to get out of this thing. Like I said, it's hot and it's heavy, but be sure to come down to Fleet Week. So for now, reporting in Baltimore, I'm Olivia Dance, Fox 45 News.
Demonstration there. All right, well, the week-long celebration started with a pre-show featuring the Marine Corps Silent Drill Platoon, Navy Ceremonial Band, and a lot more. For the first time in 3 years, you are going to have the chance to meet our servicemen and women from the Marines, the Coast Guards, the Navy. Photojournalists Kenny Christopher and Megan Gillen got a bird's eye view of what you can expect this year. Check this out.
Flying 300 to 400 feet above.
Helo over deck.
A Seahawk MH-60 Sierra approaches landing.
I'm just grateful to be out here.
Seaman Braden Abbott joined the Navy 2 years ago. It is his first time on a military helicopter.
Seeing what it's going to be like for the rest of my naval career.
The target, a Navy warship flight deck on the USS Carter Hall.
We are a amphibious ship about 610 feet long.
And currently moving down the Chesapeake Bay.
This is historic waters. These Maryland waters have bore witness to different battles that we fought early in our history.
On deck, roughly 400 sailors and Marines.
I'm a gunner's mate, so I'm in charge of the armory, any ordnance evolutions, any gun shoots, from anything from the 25 millimeter down, that's me.
An electronics shop, LPO. I run the electronics shop, so all the exterior communications, interior communications, the radar and the navigation equipment, we take charge of that.
Yes, our job is to move Marines from ships to shore, to take over beaches.
But today,
all right, this is the tricky part. Watch this going down.
There's a different mission. Moving at 11 to 12 knots, the USS Carter Hall is sailing into Baltimore for Fleet Week, giving locals a chance to meet these brave men and women.
Again, the fighting spirit that lived in those sailors of yesterday live in the sailors and Marines that are embarked on this ship today.
To understand their commitment,
they eagerly stood forward and said, I will defend the greater promise of America.
And to simply get a chance to say hello.
This is everything for me, because I've never been able to really show all of my family and friends what I do.
For retail specialist, Senior Chief Petty Officer Jamie Francis and Senior Chief Culinary Specialist Stacy Washington, putting feet on the ground here is a homecoming.
Honestly, it's just like a dream come true. To be from Baltimore and to come back here, it's definitely a one-in-a-lifetime experience.
Thanks for everyone for coming out today.
Fleet Week fun isn't over. On Fox 45 Morning News, we're going to be celebrating throughout this week. We have more information. There's Founders Day at Fort McHenry, so you can get out and check that out as well. 11:18 now, and to today's talking point. Thomas the Tank Engine is getting a new friend. The longtime children's television show Thomas and Friends, All Engines Go, is introducing its first character with autism. His name is Bruno, and Mattel describes him as a joyful pun-making brake car. In the U.S., he'll be voiced by 10-year-old Chuck Smith, who has autism. More than 2% of adults in the U.S. have autism, according to a 2017 report from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Mark Clark with Be More Lifestyle is here now. Are you a Thomas Tank Engine fan?
You know what? I'm amazed that, it's been around for so long and it still captures the hearts of the kids' imagination. And Patrice, the thing about this that I think is interesting, we're not saying our age, but I just love the fact that we're talking about autism now. It's a thing. I think we're coming up, that wasn't necessarily the case. So I think this is great.
It is. talking about our age. I mean, autism, has been around for a long time. So it is interesting. It's good that we're talking about it now, but I always, when we talk about these things, wonder, well, why did it take so long to even get to this point that's just part of the narrative? But I think it's great that it is. And the way they went about it, they partnered with an autism group to be able to bring a realistic character, one that these kids can relate to. And the fact that it's voiced by a little boy with autism who said, so the character I was reading, it can steam out of its ears when it gets riled up, when it gets too noisy. And we know, some kids on the spectrum, the noise factor is a problem for them. And that's what the guy who voices his character says. I can relate to that, because when it gets loud for me, I have to blow off steam too. And I'm like, that's great that they put so much detail and thought into this.
And it probably speaks to, like you said, the developers, because let's keep it real, like the concept of a tank and trains and that kind of stuff. I mean, in this new modern age, some would say, surprises still hangs around, but maybe it's because they are innovative. Even though they have a premise that is old, they still have the smarts to stay modern and do innovative stuff like this.
That's right. So we saw Sesame Street not too long ago introduced some new characters for the modern world. So yes, the cartoons are evolving with us, Mark.
Awesome. Thanks, Patrice.
All righty. Well, a drier day today than we had yesterday, definitely. That is good news for us here at home. But as meteorologist Amy Aronson shows us, those in California could use some of that rain right now. Amy.
Yeah, let's head west again for today's worst weather. California still dealing with the brutal heat and actually dozens of wildfires. Here's a look at one wildfire that's ongoing. This is only one image here, but there's two fires that are highlighted in this tweet. As you can see, just billowing clouds because of that, billowing clouds and smoke. Here's another one, this one from the Fairview fire in Riverside County. As you can see, it looks like it's almost going nuclear there. Just a scary scene. And this is another tweet from Fox Weather, actually talking about how there's dozens of wildfires underway along with the heat wave. And if we take a look at what's happening on the weather map right now, you can see they are still highlighted in pink, meaning excessive heat warning there. But they've also got a hurricane that's on the way. Hurricane K is south of there. That's going to track northward and send them some much needed rain, but almost too much rain at once. So then flooding's going to be a concern for the West Coast in the days ahead. Meanwhile, on the East Coast, I'm keeping a watchful eye on Hurricane Earl. Fortunately, that's staying well offshore as that moves its way through the Atlantic. Not going to be a direct impact for us. We have that area of low pressure still hanging out nearby, drifting away from us, but still keeping some clouds in the area. Otherwise, we are looking at a drier day ahead of us, not tracking much in terms of rain. We're already seeing a little bit of sun with Fleet Week getting underway at the Inner Harbor. Temperatures are warming their way through the 70s, and this warming trend will continue, especially as we head over the next couple of days. Today, we see some breaks in our clouds, but it's not really until tomorrow that we clear out our skies completely. At that point, we welcome back the sun. Bright sunshine will dominate Friday, and as we get into Saturday, fantastic start to the weekend. But here comes our next weather maker. Showers are set to move in Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening. So that's going to have an impact on the end of the Maryland State Fair. Final weekend for it. We've got sunshine for the next 3 days with highs in the low 80s, but then here comes that chance for showers by later Sunday. You can also see that in our full 10-day forecast. Next weather maker moves in late Sunday. That will keep us unsettled as we head through early next week with rain chances Monday through midweek, but high temperatures will stay around normal with highs in the low 80s each day. Back to you.
Coming up later today, some residents in West Baltimore now on the 4th day without healthy drinking water. At 4, the latest in the city's response to an E. coli contamination. 15 years after Safe Streets was introduced in Baltimore, crime is still out of control. At 5, Fox 45 News is questioning the mayor about why he continues to support this violence reduction program. And after a recent spike in crime, Prince George's County is moving ahead with a curfew for young people at 6. Why not everyone supports the curfew. You can get Fox 45 News in a flash through your Amazon Alexa or Echo. We now deliver your local headlines and forecasts in less than 2 minutes. If you have an Amazon device, tell it to enable Fox 45 Baltimore. Well, making headlines this morning, Seattle Public Schools canceled their first day of classes due to their teachers going on strike. They're striking over issues like pay, mental health support, and staffing ratios for special education and multilingual students. The Seattle Education Association is giving overwhelming support for the strike, with 95% of its members voting in favor. The superintendent of Seattle Public Schools, the state's largest school district, saying the district and the SEA are working hard to reach an agreement. Now, this comes as districts across the country deal with teacher shortages, and many have also seen strikes. Well, with most schools being back in session, a report says kids are set back in learning from the pandemic. A Wall Street Journal report says children were significantly hurt in learning during virus shutdowns. National data shows kids learning to read now have the lowest reading proficiency in 20 years. Average reading scores for 9-year-olds fell 5 points over 2 years, and average math scores fell 7 points. That's the first slide in math since scoring trends in the 1970s. Learning was worse where remote learning lasted the longest. Target is dropping its mandatory retirement age for its CEO. The company is extending its contract with Chief Executive Brian Cornwall for 3 more years. Cornwall led the company through the pandemic. And of course, we're looking at, what are we looking at? There we go. There's the Target. What we were just looking at was Prince George's County native Tiafoe moving on to the semifinals. So another great tennis story to watch. All right, Apple is revealing its newest iPhone, the iPhone 14. The new phone has the ability to connect to satellites in an emergency when cell or Wi-Fi service isn't available. The iPhone is also larger than before. It takes better pictures and features longer battery life. And the iPhone 14, amazingly, is only going to be around $800, which is actually cheaper than the predecessor. Well, that's all we have for Fox 45 News Midday. Be More Lifestyle is up next. Mark Clark is back to tell us what they're working on. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Patrice. Spoiled pets are feeling the pinch of inflation. Well, look how Americans are changing their spending habits. Coming up on Be More Lifestyle.